Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we're going to be doing the Dominion Guild Boss Guide for P5X version 2.0, week 1. So this is the team we're going to be running here. Rin 1, Wonder 2, Leon 3, Joker 4. If your Leon and Wonder are kind of flipped or whatever, as long as Joker's going last after everyone else, it doesn't really matter, so you should be fine. And then just a quick note on the team comp. Chord would be better here, and Phoebe, but I think I may have mentioned this in one of my past, either like SOS or Guild Boss videos, but I want, if you watch one side of my boss videos, like if you watched the Queen video and you saw that I use Chord, I don't want you to have to like, it wouldn't make much sense if I like came in here and I use Chord again. Like, cause I don't really care about like max score on one side. I care about like the collective guild boss score, cause that's what you turn in the end, you know what I mean? So I decided the Queen would be our max damage side, and this Joker side is kind of, you know, our B side, so we'll do as best we can. Obviously, if you slotted Chord in, if you slotted Phoebe in, you get a much better score on this side than I'm going to get here. But if you watched the last video and use Chord and you're like, okay, now let me watch this video and try and follow this one, and I'm using Chord again, that doesn't really help you at all. So yeah, I just wanted to say that because I know someone would at least, you know, think like, hey, wouldn't Chord be better here? Yes, but I don't want to double dip on units on both sides. Like, I want to keep it like whatever I used on the other side video will not be able to be used here, kind of like how it actually works, you know, in the game. So just getting that out of the way kind of at the top here. Then as for Wonder, we're going to be using the new Ex Machina Dagger. If you don't know what this dagger does, increases attack by 37.3%. Oral, when users on the field, increase party's attack by 199 based on the attribute of the persona equipped at start of battle, increase damage of that attribute by 28.3% and 40% for other allies. So I think this Ex Machina is going to be kind of like the new, like, one of these like very specific daggers doesn't really fit, so we just go with Ex Machina. And then the key with this though is, like it says here, persona equipped at start of battle. It's whatever persona is in Wonder's first slot. So on this curse team, we put in Alice here, everyone else gets a 40% boost curse damage. So you want to make sure like whatever the main, you know, damage dealer of that team is the persona you're starting with. So we're starting with Alice here. Even if you swap them out immediately at the start of the fight, doesn't matter, it's whatever you enter the fight with in your equip slot. And then speaking of Alice, we'll get into personas. We'll be using Alice, Komokuten, and then the third doesn't matter, just pick kind of your best persona that you're not using on the other side. As for what you'll need on Alice, dive for me is the most important skill. Secondarily, if you like want to follow this exactly, I'm going to be using Torukaja on the last turn. It's not super necessary, you can just use Revolution with Komokuten. One of Alice's passives is that she increases foes' curse damage taken by 12%, just kind of flat when she's, you know, when she's equipped to Wonder. And so I found that it may have been negligible. I couldn't really tell if it made a difference between Revolution or using Torukaja just to keep Alice on the field and use, you know, the attack boost on Wonder. I'm sorry, not on Wonder, on Joker. Yeah, this is what I ended up doing. If you use Revolution instead on that last turn, I'll mention it during the fight, when you could make that decision. As for what you're going to need on Komokuten, we're just going to need Rebellion here. He comes with Revolution. Komokuten kind of acts as your like budget Dionysus, I guess, which actually he's less useful because a lot of what makes him useful is this: at the start of battle, increase attack of allies with the highest attack by 14% and crit rate by 6% for 3 turns. Considering we're using the Ex Machina Dagger and we have to start with Alice, this is actually kind of useless, but considering I spent the coins and Rebellion's like an expensive skill to get, and he's just a higher level than someone like Succubus, I just felt like this is the easiest way to do it. But if you have Succubus, you don't have Komokuten, or you don't have Rebellion on him, feel free to just use Succubus here. And hopping over to card sets, Joker is running Departure and Hindrance, Rin is running Departure and Control, Leon is running Trust and Prosperity, and Wind is going to be running Resolve and Labor. And a quick note for Wind, you really want Wind hitting like the 160 speed stat. That's where she gets like her max defense shred from some of her abilities. Mine is not super built up because I just have no materials, because her and Chord came out at the same time and I prioritize Chord. But yeah, you really want, make sure you have a bunch of speed on her, because all her abilities kind of scale their damage up, her defense shred on the enemy, based on her max speed. So, and yeah, I don't have a ton of other notes here. Like I said, this is my B side. If you did not use Chord and Phoebe and your best units on the other side, feel free to slot Chord in here. You'll do a lot more than I have on this side. This is the best I could come up with using this as kind of my B squad. And then as always, if you have an A0 Rin, just flip the skill order I'm using. I'm doing S3, S1, S3, S1 for the 4 turns. You'll do S1, S3, S1, S3. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else, so let's get right into it. All right, so hopping into it here, we're gonna start off with Lion Dance on, doesn't really matter. Again, if your Rin is S0 is A0, you're gonna use S1 here, and then Wonder with Alice is gonna use Die For Me. And if you were wondering, Die For Me does not eat a stack of Rin's Red Spider Lily because it's not a damage instance. It is an attack on them, but it's not a damage instance per se. Leon is going to go ahead and use Justice Barrier on Joker. And then Joker is going to go ahead, and this is really critical for being able to follow exactly what I'm doing here. You have to proc Joker's follow-up on this first action. So you get one Will of Rebellion stack from using Trickster's Plunder, which is why we're using it. And so basically you have to get the other 2 stacks from putting the 2 angels below 60% health. So if you're not doing that, you might not be able to follow this rotation exactly. This team is super squishy. So if you're really struggling to survive this fight, I would suggest taking the damage hit and putting a Marion or Lufel in here instead of Leon. So we get it. We're going to go ahead with Wind, and we're going to use Wind's skill 3. I don't know if this is like the optimal use of this, but this is kind of the best way I could figure it to get Wind's skill 1 and skill 3 stacked for the weakened phase. There may be a better way to do it. So if you see someone else using a better Wind rotation, I'm still like learning how to use Wind because she just came out, and this is like the only fight I've really run with her. So keep in mind that that may not be like the most optimal way to use Wind, but that's kind of what I've done here. And then Joker's going to go ahead and use his highlight. Doesn't matter on who. And then Joker's going to go ahead and use Arson's Chains. And I did forget to mention kind of a special condition of this fight about Joker's extra action. But I'll kind of get to it in the weakened phase when, like, we do something a little bit kind of weird just to get the most out of kind of the special effect for this fight. Now Rin is going to go ahead and use her skill 1. Wonder is going to switch into Komakuten and use Rebellion. If you don't have Komakuten, you brought Succubus. Same thing, just switch to Succubus, use Rebellion on Joker. Leon is going to use Ultima Booster on Joker. And then Joker, I'm going to use Trickster's Plunder just because it doesn't really matter how much damage you do here, and you just want to... I don't really trust like how the Will of Rebellion stacks get put on, so I'm just going to be safe and get like the for sure extra Will of Rebellion stack. And then you can go ahead and finish off the first phase, and we'll move into the weakened phase. I don't know if you can like kill on that first action of Joker if that extra action like takes you into the second phase without moving Joker's turn order to the front. I don't know. I wasn't able to like get it to kill on one turn, like on Joker's first kind of action there. So I don't know. If you can, you might be able to like pump even more damage out because you'll get an extra like boosted Joker extra action in the weakened phase. So he'll get like 5 attacks instead of 4. That might be a way to get like a bunch of extra points here. So if you can do that, you might end up getting like a much higher score than me. Now that we're in the weakened phase, we're going to start off by using Leon's highlight on Joker. And then we're going to use Rin's skill 3, Lion Dance. I did run a version of this where like I used Rin's skill 1 again and then tried to save her skill 3 for the final action, but it really wasn't making much of a difference, so I think this is kind of just... I think it's just negligible whichever way you choose to do it. But now on Wonder, we're going to switch back to Die For Me. Wind is going to go ahead and now use her skill 1 to get the defense down. Leon is going to use Ultima Booster again because his highlight gave Joker like max friendship stacks. Then Joker's going to go ahead and use Arson's Chains. He should get 2 Will of Rebellion stacks here. And then we're going to use Arson's Chains again. And then on the final turn, I'll explain why we're kind of doing what we're doing, why we're like waiting to highlight. Rain is going to go ahead and use her skill 1 now. Wind is going to go ahead and use her skill 3. The reason we waited for this, by the way, if you were wondering, she spends all intel stacks, which are these right here. We've had max stacks for a while, but she gives fair winds, which increases damage to foes by 11.6% based on Rico's speed and the number of intel spent for only 1 turn. I believe all of this category, all of the stuff here goes for 1 turn. So the reason we kind of did this like weird kind of rotation instead of just 1-3, 1-3 or whatever on her is because I wanted to save that 1 turn of like the damage up for this last action when Joker's gonna attack, highlight, and then attack again. So, and it doesn't matter who the main target is for her. Her main target, the only difference is she heals like 10% health or something on them, which, isn't a ton, but can still be kind of useful, I guess, in a pinch. Now here's where you have a decision to make. If you've put Torukaja on Alice and you want to use it, and you want to keep Alice in for the extra 12% burst damage on the foes, go for it. If you have Komakuten and you have Revolution, I don't think it makes... I think it's kind of negligible, a difference. I don't even know. This might be better, even. I didn't run it enough times to, like, test 1-to-1 against. But you can use Revolution here, or you can use Torukaja on Alice on Joker here. I'm going to go ahead and use do that. But again, either way. Leon is going to go ahead and use Ultima Booster on Joker. Alright, now we're going to Arson's Chains. We should get 4 stacks. We should have 4 stacks of Will of Rebellion after that. One of the special effects of this boss fight is that Joker gets like a certain percentage damage up. I forget what it is. It's either 20 or 40% like damage increase on an extra action. Or not just Joker, but anyone. So we kind of want to like wait until Joker's in his extra action and then use his highlight and then use his actual skill on his extra action. I'm not 100% sure the highlight gets the damage boost from being in this extra action. I think it does, but I'm not positive, so don't take my word for it. But that's just kind of what I came up with. You weren't going to get a second highlight, even if you used it right when it was available. You weren't getting a second highlight anyway, so I figured it was best to just wait. But we're going to go ahead and use Joker's highlight now. And then we're going to finish it up with Arson's Chains. And we end up with, nice, new record, so 33.7 million. Yeah, it's not crazy. Like, I saw someone else in our guild, they tried with Chord on this side, and they were at like 45 million. If you really wanted to like min-max the entire guild boss rotation, you could do kind of what I did on Queen with Chord, and then do a run on Chord with Leon instead of, I'm sorry, do a run on Chord. Do a run on Yatsufusa with Leon over Chord, and see what the damage difference is, or see what your score difference is. So I was getting like an extra 30 million points or whatever, using Chord on that other side, versus I'd get like an extra 15 here, which is like a net loss of 15 million points over the whole, guild boss cycle. So again, up to you, just kind of depending on your account, how you feel. Like if you don't have a very good Queen and you have like a really good Joker, maybe it would be better to slot Chord in here over on Queen's side. But like I said, I do not have a good Joker, and I was already using an assist for my Queen on the other side, so I was forced to use my Joker here. And again, just reiterating what I said at the top, I want you to be able to watch both of my guild boss videos for that week, or both my SOS videos for that patch cycle, and be able to follow both sides with those units. I think I'm pretty happy with this score. I don't know what this is like percentage wise. It's hopefully top 5, maybe top 3, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully this video helped you a little bit. But yeah, I appreciate all the support. We're at like 300 something subscribers already, which is insane. So I really appreciate everybody who's watching and subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all the YouTube things. And yeah, hopefully these videos are helping you. And if there's anything you're confused on, whether it's guild boss fight related, whether it's just some general concept of something in the game, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm happy to like make videos on it. in kind of those extra days that end up falling on every patch where there's like no guild boss or SOS video for me to make, or leave it in the comments and I can answer your questions there. But yeah, thank you again for watching, thank you again for the support, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.